Hello and welcome to another Tech Articles. In today's articles, I want to go through something I've done recently in Gridpane, and I've been working to automate more of my stuff with regards to Gridpane. And one of the issues that you have with Gridpane is that it doesn't have an email server. Now, there are integrations with SendGrid in the panel here that you can see, and their Mailgun and Mailjet are coming. They've been coming for a while, but they are coming. And I wanted a way. I spin up an awful lot of sites, and what I wanted was a way to automatically have them being able to send emails. And this was difficult because a site might only last me 15 minutes, but I was having to spend 5 minutes setting it up for emails and and getting that to work. And I was thinking more of a long-term solution as well, so that it wasn't accidentally deleted and emails would stop working. And then I had an issue with I had to transfer because of a host closing down. I've had to transfer one of my servers from one provider to another, and the new provider blocks SMTP, which is what I was using before. And I had to find a solution to do this once and for all. So I looked into the API providers, and I found one on AppSumo, and I've already used it. I've used it for in some of my other videos, and I thought, oh, do you know what? I'm going to use them. So I used Email It. I built a small plugin that uses their API to deliver my emails, and then I had a look through the best way to deploy that, whether it was as a plugin or as a snippet onto all those sites. And I actually came along with a relatively good idea, having looked at the documentation on Gridpane and how I think it should work. And really, you don't want this stuff being modified or deleted. And it's easy to do. I've done it myself. To particularly, I used to use Fluent SMTP, and it's so easy to just delete it and deactivate it and forget you've done it even. Um, so I wrote a plugin that delivers a payload, an MU plugin payload into your MU plugin directory, and that allowed me to then have a automatic sender for my emails via Email It. And when I was asking earlier in the week about, actually I think it was last week, about Gridpane's API and some of the issues that I have around it, somebody mentioned Postmark integration, which is quite a popular integration request for Gridpane. And I thought, I wonder whether I can adapt that solution to work for that and write a post about it and also share a video about it. And I've done that, and I still don't have my Postmark account approved yet by Postmark, but I've been able to test it enough to know that it works and that it's viable. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how that works, and I'm also going to deploy my Email It and my Postmark solutions so that you can see how they go. I will pause this video when I'm generating the sites, and I'll come back once they're generated, just so that you don't have to sit here and wait 5 minutes while it generates two sites. So first of all, I'm going to go over to bundles, and I've created a demonstration bundle here, and this is what's in Postmark, except the URLs are different. And this is the same with Email It. There's an Email It deploy zip in there instead. So all this is going to deploy is my WP task after install, which does all the little bits and pieces that I want done for WordPress before I deploy it. It's going to deploy Postmark deploy, which all that does is fires up on activation, installs the MU plugin, then deactivates and deletes itself. It'll be gone. And Shoreforms, and the reason I'm using Shoreforms is because it has a relatively pretty email output. It's very quick to put a form together and test email for this video. So I'm going to generate two sites, Postmark and Email It. I'm going to deploy them, and you can see how they work. So I'm going to head back to Gridpane, and I'm going to create my first site, which I'm going to call Post, and that's going to be for Postmark. I want to send it to my dev server. I'm going to select the Postmark bundle, and I'm going to select my Cloudflare API, and that will now start to pull that together. And then I'm going to do one more for Email It, and I'm going to do the same again, and I'm going to select Email It this time, and I'm going to select my Cloudflare And then I'm going to pause this video while these two sites are added. So our provisioning is now done. I've opened those two up and I'm going to go to them now. So we've got our two domains here. And to clear things up, I'm just going to close down Gridpane for now. I will leave this one open so I can go to it if I need to. So I'm going to start with Email It, which is the solution I've been using myself because it's slightly better than the Postmark because I'm still on a limited Postmark account. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just update this, and you'll see here I installed two plugins as part of my bundle, and neither of them are in the plugins section. And this is Email It, so there should be an Email It deploy and a WP Tasks after install, and they've both done their job and deleted themselves. And I've got the usual two plugins that are installed by Gridpane and Shortforms, which was on our installation list. And you'll notice that instead of one, I now have two must-use plugins, and that's because I've got an Email It interface installed, so that I have Email It API interface working behind the scenes. So I'm now going to go to my Shortforms. Now, I will say about Email It, it works different from Postmaster. It allows you to use sending domains and allows me to send from those sending domains. So the emails from this domain won't be coming from this domain, they'll be coming from a sending domain, but that's fine. It's standardized and it's generic, and actually it could be anything I want it to be. But for this example, I'm using a API key I already have. So we're just going to put this as test and test. The form is irrelevant. I'm going to publish it, and I'm just going to make it an instant form so that it's nice and easy to see. So in the Email It, we're now in Email It, and I'm going to just do a test submission. And what will happen now behind the scenes, that's going to send an email, and I'm going to just close that down, and I'm going to head back out here. And so that we've now done our test from the Email It domain. And if I head over to my email account here, you'll see that I now have a submission of that from Email It, from the site that we were just on, and from the generic email address that I'm choosing to use, sent via Email It. So what I'm going to do now is, and that came straight into my inbox, no issue whatsoever, no setup from me, I just did it and it worked. And the same happens with Postmark now as well, and in exactly the same way. So if we head over to the Postmark dashboard, and again we'll go to plugins, there's an update here for NGX Helper, and again you'll see that there are only one of the plugins that I set to install. The other two have installed themselves, done their jobs, and deleted themselves. My must-use plugins contains a different plugin this time, my Gridpane Postmark API interface, and that's here and running. So all I'm going to do now is exactly the same. I'm going to create a form. I'm going to build it from scratch. I'm going to, again, doesn't matter what it's called, we'll call it Gridpane, and we will call this Postmark. And that is it. We will publish this, and we will view this. And we now have a Postmark 1, and we will call this Postmark for submission. And that's it. We've now submitted our email form. And if we head back over to our email account, which should be here sometime, we now have a new email. We now have a new email saying postmark sent from PM Bounces, which is our Postmark, and that's it. We are integrated with Postmark. And the reason I think this is so elegant as a solution and why it works for me is because it's installed as a must-use plugin. It sits there. I don't need to change the details. They're done. And the way I've coded the plugin, allows me to do a couple of things that are useful. So, for example, and I'm gonna head over here to the article I've written about this video. I've added the different options in the post, and I'm going to use the Postmark 1 as an example. You put your defined hard-coded items in your deployment PHP file, but there is also override functions for those deployments. In addition to that, there is also an override for turning this off so it doesn't need to do anything. So if I wanted to issue a particular client with a server token, an email, and a message stream, I can just put these three in the functions.php in a snippet, and that's it. They will overtake what's in this plugin. And if I want to do it so that it doesn't run at all, and I don't know, let's say you're going to use SMTP, or you've got a native integration with Brevo or one of the other WordPress solutions, you can just turn this off. If I was to define TD Postmark email override as true, it would never run. So it would never take over the PHP mailer and send this. It will carry on as normal. So this is why I think this is relatively elegant as a solution. Now, I haven't decided yet whether I'm going to include an updater in this, because I can put them in folders, I can build folders, I can do all of that to give them an update parameter and to be able to update them as needed. That is totally possible. I can also, I have available to me a relatively simple update script that I could also include, and that would allow me to update this via GitHub, for example. I haven't decided on that yet, but for me now, this is an elegant, easy solution to develop and deploy sites with SMTP already included in the site. No need to set it up. And as I already written one and I'd already deployed it, I thought I'd write one for Postmark. As I've written in the article, I haven't included how I deploy this to MU plugins. You can still upload it as you could use it as a normal plugin and it will work as a normal plugin, as a bundle. It doesn't have to be an MU plugin. So you can just download this, copy, input your details, upload it as a plugin, and then install it as a bundle and install. It won't be in the MU plugins. The reason I haven't done that is because of just how possibly dangerous it is with the code. I mean, with a couple of modifications to the 70 odd lines of code, I could literally put it in any plugin. It would download from a server. It would install whatever I liked in your MU directory, and then it would delete itself, and you might not even know it's been there. And while the code is out there, it's not complicated, it's not difficult. I just don't want to lead people to the door. If there is enough interest in that and people don't think I'm being a bit crazy, then fair enough. I'll do a video, I'll do a post, and I'll release the deployment method. Because the deployment method is where it becomes really quite unique here. And for me, it means that you don't see it, you don't know it's happened, and it's just seamless. It does seem a little strange to me to give you half of it, but I don't know. There's a part of me that says it's a real security issue that I'm giving you code that installs, activates, and deletes stuff into your MU directory. Put it in a plugin and with very little modifications, and it could do all sorts to your websites. But I just wanted to share this solution with you. Hopefully it's useful to some of those Gridpane users who want to use Postmark. Hopefully it gives some of you some ideas of how you can use your Gridpane account and do more with Gridpane, and so how some of these plugins that you install and some of these changes that you do all the time. For example, I suggest everyone has a look at WP Taskmaster install. I forked this plugin a couple of years ago from one that's in the WordPress repo and modified it for my installs. I don't think the plugin's been updated for like 3 or 4 years. But I forked it and added all sorts to it since then, and it does all sorts of things for me on all sorts of different environments, and it's pretty much flawless. I mean, it saved me hours of setup time, and it's just showing you what some of these little tweaks you can do to your workflow to make them so much more efficient. Anyway, I hope this video is useful. I hope the article is useful. And please, yeah, if there's something you'd like me to do an article on or look into, or there's any feedback, etc., do let me know. Fill out a contact form or post it on a Facebook group or whatever. Yeah, thanks for watching.